Hello, I'm Verdi Arbusto, and this is the Schumann Resonance Harmonics channel on YouTube and Facebook. Thank you for being here. I appreciate the love and support. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Any comments help me out, likes, even dislikes, whatever. I'm not perfect, but it does help with the ratings. So thank you all for helping to boost my numbers up. And seriously, I appreciate all the comments I get from people and everyone kind of wishing me well and nice to see you again and glad to be back. And I've been on a kind of upswing, and it's nice to, you know, be making videos again and interacting with you guys. So I appreciate, the continued comments. Good, bad, or otherwise. I don't know. If it's a crappy comment, I may likely say nothing or whatever, but whatever. Say what's on your mind. Anyway, all right. So, onward and upward. This here in the background, this is my website, Schumann Resonance, Schumann-resonances.com. Okay, and so this same article is actually found in two places, but for two kind of different reasons. The original PDF file is under this is under the atmospheric electromagnetics, the AC circuit. On the website it says AC circuit, so that talks about just the Schumann resonances stuff. So that's where this is. All right, so I guess the short history of this article is that I was looking for information from Russia, from Tomsk State University, something anywhere. Something from over that neck of the woods, a professor from Tomsk, one of their scientists. Generally speaking, I'll say this. The There was a question that was posed to me that has been posed to me on multiple occasions. Where are all of the Schumann resonance monitoring stations around the world? How come we don't hear from them? Why is it we only hear from Tomsk in Russia and Kumyania, which is in Italy? And by the way, Kumyania, Italy, is not specifically a Schumann resonance monitoring station. They're a VLF/LF monitoring station with a seismograph as well. So they're monitoring for seismic activity and not dedicated Schumann resonances like Tomsk is, the Russians, basically. Okay, I'm adjusting my picture so I'm looking at me as I'm looking over there. All right, so Tomsk itself, I've mentioned this, I've talked about this in a video. The state university, they're a technical institution, and as part of their charter, they make this information public to the people, and they also control and maintain the website, right? As part of their curriculum. You have to understand that they're an all-in-one shop, if you will. They're a technical institution. They monitor their own servers. They post it online. It's part of what they do. Okay. Other places in the world are not like that. The rest of the world that uses, the majority of the rest of the world that uses these sites, monitoring sites, it's for research. Paid for by a group, which may likely not be the government. Oftentimes it's not the government. It's oftentimes funded by a university or an institution or some health institution, maybe. But the universities and associate, I don't even know how to explain it, conjunct organizations, like a couple universities get together and form a group, and then they'll come up with a monitoring station like that. So a consortium, maybe. A lot of this is not directly government funded, but it's funded through grants, some of which may be government, but a lot of this is not government funded. That's why this information is not out there public, freely available to the public, is because it's not been intended as a public good. from their end. You, on your end, you might think, of course, this is a public good. Sharing the Schumann information with everyone, you couldn't come up with a more good than that. Fine. That's an argument to make. It's fine. I'm not going to argue against that, your point. If you're of the idea that publicly showing the Schumann resonances is for a public good, okay, sure, that's fine. My counter to that is when people have free information, they don't appreciate it. Right? So it may not be doing a public good to provide the information for free. Look at what people say about Tomsk. They're hiding something. They're hiding information. You provide the information free to people, and then they motherfuck you because there's a power outage. Maybe it's not really doing a public service to provide it free to people, especially when a lot of people don't know how to actually read the graphs, and they'll assume it's worse than it is. Or they'll assume, instead of it being a technical issue, that it's a software of the brain issue, that there's some censorship committee that's withholding information. That's the way the human mind thinks. I've been doing this long enough to know that that's what the process is for people. So in order to find the information, I personally believe the way that it is a good deal, is a good situation, that you have to look for the information. You have to want to find it. You've got to have a need to find it, right? You've got to have a want to have that. I am not of the opinion that the Schumann resonances are doing for people what they think that they are doing. I've said this before. I've been public about it. This is not anything new. There's a lot of misunderstanding about what they are, what they do. I've talked about this. This is not anything new. So I have a different view on the public good involved in the Schumann resonances, just simply to pass the information on to the people at large indiscriminately. So as I am looking into information on Tomsk, the Ukrainians, Russia, the Siberians, any of this, okay, I come across this literature. Generally speaking, the scientists that are paid researchers, they get paid when they publish a paper. They don't get paid a lot. As a scientist, there's a stipend. It's understood your payment comes when you publish. When you publish a paper, it gets bought by a research clearinghouse. I have a few that have a public subscription that I've been a part of, but a lot of the research, like elsewhere, Elsevier, they're a paid service. A lot of these clearinghouses for the research are a paid service, and that's why I am not on I'm not on many of the mailing lists, is because it's a paid service. But that's how the scientists make their money, is through publishing their work. Either that, or the scientists, say at Tomsk, the visiting scientist from Kumyania, CN, Central Italy Electromagnetic Network, CIEN, a lot of these organizations have speakers and lecturers that go out and give speeches and lectures at symposiums or wherever, trade shows. I don't know, there's a lot of different venues, trade type of things for say, atmospheric electronics. And so the researchers and the lecturers will go on tour, as it were, and give speaking engagements to sell their research, as it were, to to present their facts and their findings. So the research world, how they support themselves, is different than how you and I would. I'm a landscaper by trade. I do work, get paid so much an hour, and then we're done. That's not how it is with researchers. They get a stipend, they get a grant, And then they have to spend time presenting their research. And then when the research is done and it's accepted into publication, then they get paid. But no one's getting paid until you're published. So this is a good chunk of why it's may be difficult for the average person to find this research, because you have to look into symposiums and you have to look into lectures. And I've given a number of papers. I've done a number of videos where I've brought up the symposiums or the lectures or whatever people out on the road have been supporting their work through research and giving public speakings. So the main reason that, I'll just say this, it's not because they're hiding any information, but the main reason that this information of the researchers is not made public is because they're trying to support themselves through the correct channels that are there. The research scientists don't have the time or the inclination or the resources, or, how much do you think scientists are making? They don't, some of them can make a lot, but that's if they sell a patent. That's if they're in conjunction with a benefactor like Raytheon, or Lockheed, or, General Electric or something. Yeah, you can, but it's still, scientists, scientists themselves don't make a lot of money, even though you would think, relative to what you're making, a nuclear physicist might be making $90,000, but, all right, it's more than I make, but that's not wealthy, and just so that's what I'm saying. So that's why they have to publish everything and get picked up in order to supplement the money. It's like when you work for tips. It's like you get a stipend and then you got to, hustle to get your real pay, and that's the tips. So publishing, speaking engagements, these kind of things, books, textbooks, that's how the researchers make their money. All right. So the researchers aren't putting their information out there free to the public because there's not any interest for them to do that. And more to the point, like I said, where there's a hostile environment of people out there who are looking for reasons to call censorship and looking for reasons to shit on your work, it even more so doesn't appeal to them to have to face the gauntlet from people who have no clue what they're looking at, who are just giving out bad vibes, ignorant, totally stump dumb, lowest of the low vibes, because people don't know what they're looking at, and they have some crazy idea of what, as I call it, the Disney side version of what's going to be happening, or what is happening. So it's totally within my belief that the research on the Schumann resonances should be found only if you dig for it. Because when you dig for it and you start reading and researching and looking, you start knowing how to actually read the graphs and how to actually read the equipment and how to actually tell what's going on. It's my humble view that a person can't, with this scientific and technical stuff, you can't stand on the sidelines and guess and get a good picture of what's going on. You have to kind of get your hands dirty and get involved and read some technical stuff. And so as part of what my job here is to present technical literature from a simple of a language perspective, simple as I can make it to people, so that it's digestible. Right. So in doing this, I do my best, but there's a lot of technical stuff that is really just beyond the average person, and I'm stuck. There's like a gap between what you know and the minimum that's needed to get the understanding of, like here, the gamma bursts. And I guess that brings me up into the material, 14 minutes into it. So there's a learning threshold. There's a kind of learning curve, they call it, that a person needs to kind of immerse themselves in this stuff, and it's all for the better having to do research to find the answers to this information so you know what you're looking at. And I don't know how to say it better or nicer than that, but there's too many people that are putting misinformation out there and don't do the research, and they're not, as far as I can tell, willing to address technical issues or even look into the technical aspects of it. And that's unfortunate, because this really does take, to understand this properly, takes a dedication of your time. I understand the Schumann resonances information because I've been doing audio, video, radio broadcast for 30 years. I got my first tape cassette recorder when I was like 12. It was from Radio Shack, a little single speaker, a little thing opened up. I knew all about the different configurations of metal tape versus chromalloy and ferric oxide, and how tapes were made when I was like 13. And they don't have tapes anymore. Okay? So I want to help. I would like to help. But you on your end need to be patient, and it takes time to understand this stuff. You're not going to get it overnight. If I could had a magic button so you could understand this stuff, I would. But it's a day at a time. You kind of have to do what I do and just dedicate all of your spare time to reading information on it. But the first thing is to learn the basic information. And I have presented that, and I've given a lot of that basic information. I'm giving more. I'm fine with giving that. I'm working with the videos. I'm working with people to keep always presenting the basics in the forefront. What's the most basic stuff? All right. So with that said, this article, the research behind me, or that I'm looking at, was easy enough to find. Let me offer a suggestion too. If you're going to look for information on stuff like this, scientific, don't go with Google. All right? Go with other browsers. Maybe go to the library in your town, use their internal database. If you can get access to a college library, good place to do research. In this round of searches, I used DuckDuckGo. They came up with different information that Google hadn't come up with before. All right. So in the course of looking up information about Tomsk, the space observing system, any of the professors that I could kind of recognize that are over there, I typed it in. All right. So as a result of that, I found some really highly technical stuff that I can't even make my way through. But then there was some interesting reading like this that's technical, but there's some stuff in here that I can kind of summarize for you, and we can talk about the effect of gamma rays on the Schumann resonances. All right. So when I saw this, when I saw the title, I was fascinated. I wanted to read it. I wanted to see what it has to say. And so this has equations in it. There's math in this. There's a graph. There's a spectrogram here. So I'm gonna, this again, like I said, this is in the blog section of my website. It's a blog post, and the original article, the PDF, is under a different section. I have this in kind of two places. Basically, I'll just read kind of what I have. Read the first bit. I'll just read this first kind of bit here. All right. And then I'll show you and then I will show you what comes after that. Okay. This is an article which I was happy to come across. This was a discussion of the measured effect of the ionosphere from a gamma burst in 2004. While searching for more research information from Russian scientists, specifically from Tomsk, I've uncovered a number of interesting research papers. The following originates with the Usikov Institute for Radiophysics and Electronics at the National Academy of Sciences of the Ukraine. Isn't that a wonderful full name? In conjunction with Karasin Kharkov National University in the Ukraine, in addition to NASA, which is in New York, the USA. Okay. New York, USA. Moshiri Observatory in Japan, and the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, which I imagine is a lot like our NASA. Probably in a lot of ways, it's a lot like NASA. In the area of Schumann resonances, within the discussions of the origins of amplitude spikes, frequently in comments and online in general, there comes a certain conceit. In many cases, the cause of amplitude spikes is given as incoming gamma 5D energies. I don't know if the viewer has heard that expression. I don't know if you've come across it. It's certainly something I've heard often enough. The spikes, when they talk about the whiteout condition, mode 1 spikes, gamma, right? That's, if you've heard it described in any way, it would likely have been either gamma or gamma 5D energy. Okay, that's what people refer to the whiteout condition of the Schumann resonances. And if you are not familiar with the whiteout condition of the Schumann resonances, please leave me a note. I will describe it. I will show you an example of that. Personally, I am not one to simply accept the generalized phrases such as this. If it's true, I'd like to know how this happens based on observations of the people who are tasked with such things. Let me see the physical observations and actual research. All right, so this right here is the actual research on gamma spikes on the Schumann resonances. All right, so we hear a lot about gamma energy. What does it do on the Schumann resonances? Okay, let me get to the point. The effect of gamma bursts from the stellar sources is that gamma flares reduce or drop down the Schumann resonances. That's what the research tells us, that gamma bursts inhibit the whiteout condition. According to this is our literature, The Effect of Gamma Ray Flare on Schumann Resonances by A.P. Nikolenko, 2004, the data shows that gamma bursts effectively drop the frequency of the vertical conductivity channel, that's your amplitude, therefore help to diminish the intensity of the Schumann resonances. Okay, and so this is the article right here. Okay, so this isn't the whole article, but this is the part of it that I'm taking that's significant here. It says, we postulate that only the, quote, knee altitude is reduced by gamma rays. Therefore, the electric height of the Earth ionosphere cavity goes down, while the magnetic height remains undisturbed. It is important that according to VLF records, Inon et al. 2007, the modification was detected at the angular distance from the center of disturbance reaching 60 degrees. We assume, therefore, that the gamma ray modification may cover the whole hemisphere. Physically, a huge reduction of the ionosphere height alters the eigenvalues of the Earth ionosphere cavity. And The word eigenvalue is kind of a tough word to wrap your head around. It's a mathematical kind of average, but the as an example, the eigenvalue of the first Schumann resonance harmonics is 7.8. The eigenvalue would sort of be the natural mode, if I understand this correctly. It's the natural mode that a vibrating, oscillating system wants to return to, or a complex system, its natural state, its value. And I can't explain it better than that without getting more complex. But that's a word that maybe that would go on the vocabulary list as eigenvalue. Okay, modification simultaneously brings down the peak amplitudes, peak frequencies, and the quality factors of all Schumann resonance modes. Okay, you see that. Modification, so when they say modification, they're talking about the influence of the gamma flux, the gamma rays, on the ionosphere. Modification simultaneously brings down the peak amplitudes, that's your high, the white mode, right? Peak amplitudes is the white mode. Peak frequencies, all right? Frequency is going this way, right? The frequency is the measure from wavelength to wavelength. Your quality factor is the horizontal magnetics, or the horizontal frequency, of all Schumann resonance modes. In our computations that account for the day-night non-uniformity, the PUK model was used, and they give Piccioni Price 2004, with the 20-kilometer reduction of knee height at the day side. So that means, as what they're saying there is, as a result of the modification, as a result of the gamma burst, the ionosphere reduced, it dropped 20 kilometers. And so that the knee height would be, you have different layers. I want to explain this, but not too technically. You have different layers. So you have a first set of layers that goes up to like the thermosphere, I think it is, and that is like the bulk of it that's closest to the Earth. That is a insulator. After this layer, you start getting into being the ionosphere starts becoming a conductor and surrounding us with the conducting. It doesn't conduct down, it conducts laterally. And that's what the ionosphere is. It surrounds us laterally. Okay. So we conclude that the computations predict essentially the same modification regardless of particular model. Gamma rays abruptly reduce all resonance parameters. It is important that sudden alterations occur simultaneously at all resonance modes, and hence we must look for the similar discontinuity pattern in experimental ELF sonograms around the occurrence time of gamma flare. All right, so again, what's important here, we conclude the computations predict essentially the same modification regardless of particular model. Gamma rays abruptly reduce all resonance parameters. Okay? It's important to understand that. Gamma rays abruptly reduce all resonance patterns. So, when we see the spikes, the white mode, the white out conditions of the Schumann resonances, what this is telling us is that it is not caused by gamma bursts. Okay? This is what the research says. It's what this guy talked to Nikolachenko, if you got anything to say about this. To me, this explains what I needed to know, right? So I asked about the specifics. What do gamma rays actually do? Okay. So this gives me a basic understanding. Gamma flares do not cause an amplitude burst because the height of the vertical conductivity channel has been reduced by kilometers, by many kilometers. If the lower resonances, and this is an important note to make, if the lower resonances, which are 7.8, 14.1, and 20.7 hertz are not intense or strongly ringing, then summarily there will not be any higher or upper harmonics such as 27.1, 33.3, or 39.9 hertz. Okay. So the next part, this is going to be a part two. In the course of doing the research, I found a really cool paper that I'm going to present to answer this question. What is the knee ionospheric model? Okay. Because I have a general idea, but I need to know more about it. And if I need to know more about it, that means I'm pretty sure you do as well. If you choose to watch the video. But I do want to make this, available, the information here available to you so we know what a knee ionosphere model is. I think that's really important if we're talking about the gamma bursts. Okay, so there's a really good, interesting, it's on my my PDF viewer. It's a really cool, interesting paper. It's this guy's thesis. I'm not sure if it's his master's thesis or his doctor's thesis. I can't remember, but they talk a little bit more about the knee ionosphere model, and he talks about some really cool shit. I like the doctoral dissertations because they're different perspective. It's not a professional thing. They're not researching there. They're a lot of the research papers are based on research. And that's what they're doing. The doctoral dissertations is different. They're supporting a thesis, a theory. They have some stuff, but they're also they're going by other people's work, but they have some of their own stuff, and they're basing their premises based on what's already been done, and they say, I disagree with it because of this and that. Let me support what I'm saying. Whereas the research people that are getting paid to do that, they can't have a failing hypothesis. They don't get paid if the information fails, right? So if you've done an experiment and you did it properly and it disproved your hypothesis, you can't get that published. That's not how that works. So the doctoral thesis, the master's and doctoral theses are different because you're not looking to get published like that. They're more fascinating. Trust me. If you haven't gotten it by this point, don't worry. When I get over there and show you, you'll appreciate it. All right. So that's part two. All right. So down here, I've given, this is in the description. Part of this will be in the description of the video. This is one of those longer research papers. These are all the references. They're not references. It's a contact. That's not the contact information. It's where these people are based from. There's one contact information here, correspondence to Hayakawa in Japan. But the rest of this is where their academic credits are. I think that's properly. The credentials. Not references, they're credentials. All right, that's the word. Okay, thank you. All right. Okay, so we're almost at 33:33. In fact, we are at 33:33. So this was going to be a short video. If you know me, half an hour is a short video. And we hit the topics. I think it's time to end. Thank you all for being here. I very much appreciate the love and support. Like I said, I can't say that enough. I wouldn't do this if it wasn't for you. Trust me. I don't need to be making videos for myself. It's bad enough seeing myself in the mirror. I don't need to see myself acting on camera anywhere. All right. I'm gonna end this now. Otherwise, I'm gonna ramble on, I think. So this is go check out the article in the blog. Comment on it. Give me some love. Send me some obscene comments. I don't care, whatever. But thank you for being here. I appreciate all the love, the support. I can't say that enough. I don't have anything much else going on other than just doing this. And I've met some wonderful, fabulous people. Jackie, Julie, David, Bradley, and Wage as well, and a few others of you. So thank you all for being here. I appreciate it, the love, the support, and just thank you. Have a great rest of your day. Namaste.